And here is a live look at the Boston Marathon as runners once again prove that they can go the distance. You're looking at some of them as they're just crossing the finish line. Congrats to all of them. And welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm Miranda Kahn. Some Christians around the world are asking supporters to wear orange today in honor of those killed by Islamic terrorists. The movement comes after ISIS militants killed dozens of Ethiopian Christians over the weekend. The terror group released a new video yesterday showing the mass beheadings and execution-style shootings along a Libyan beach. Executives with Comcast and Time Warner Cable are set to meet with officials from the Justice Department this week. According to the Wall Street Journal, the two cable giants are discussing plans for a $45 billion merger. Cleanup begins in Alabama after a series of powerful storms ripped through the southeastern part of the state yesterday. Take a look at these images. You can see all sorts of devastation. Officials can't confirm it was a tornado, but say it certainly looked like one. A new poll shows approval numbers for New Jersey Governor Chris Christie dropping to an all-time low. Take a look. More than half of the voters in the Garden State say they disapprove of the job Christie's doing. And now Jon Stewart says the upcoming presidential elections had something to do with his decision to leave The Daily Show. The satirical news host told The Guardian that he already covered 4 elections and didn't see this one being much different.
15 years and 5 months.
All right, thanks, Miranda. Economics, not necessarily a very popular happy hour conversation starter, but what if the Rolling Stones, Downton Abbey, and LeBron James were all involved in that conversation on economics? Well, we can talk to John Tamny about that. He's a Forbes economy editor. He thinks popular culture can intersect with the economy and economics. He's the author of the new book, Popular Economics, appropriately titled. Thanks very much for joining us, Mr. Tamny.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, so admittedly, I didn't do so well in economics in college, but maybe my teachers weren't taking the right approach in injecting things like the Rolling Stones and LeBron James. How can this help us learn more and have a better understanding of the economy as a whole?
Well, that's my argument, is I think all people intuitively understand economics just because they understand the world around them. And I think we're missing out on enormous amounts of economic growth and prosperity precisely because it's been so misexplained by economists. So my book says, okay, if you want to understand why taxes are crippling to the economy, I'll explain it to you through the migrations of the Rolling Stones in the 1970s. If you want to know why regulation not only doesn't work but cannot work, let's talk college football, specifically Michigan's loss to Appalachian State in 2007. Free trade, let's talk about LeBron James and his decision not to play in the NFL. Stable money values, let's talk about the Buffalo chicken wing. All the answers are there. People understand them. They just haven't been explained properly.
All right, well, let's go back a little bit and take a look at the Rolling Stones in particular, because we saw a picture of them, and a lot of folks might not know that Mick Jagger went to the London School of Economics, so he understands this. That's why maybe they were so aggressive in trying to find better tax policies for their business side of their music. Do explain a little bit more.
Well, yeah, if you go back to the 1970s, it's hard to imagine, but the top tax rate in England was 83%. And so as Keith Richards pointed out in his autobiography, that was the equivalent of being told to leave the country. Well, that's exactly what the Stones did. They moved to the south of France to create one of their great all-time albums, Exile on Main Street. Now, what this reminds us is the rich can be mobile and avoid top tax rates. But think about the sound engineers, think about the producers, the caterers, the drivers, all the people that go into creating an album. They could not move with the Stones from England, and so it's the poor and middle class who are invariably hit by taxes on the rich. And
we're seeing that obviously today as you see the effective tax rates for some of the wealthiest, not just companies, but individuals in the world, much higher than the average person, especially when you look at the standard deductions.
Yeah, invariably it hits those who aren't, and so I talk about this at length. You think about the Hollywood, the movie industry, they tend to vote for much higher tax rates on others, but when they make their movies, they bid their project against all 50 states trying to get the lowest tax rate. And so again, the rich producers and actors can move, But again, the people who go into the making of a movie, they're not as mobile from California. If you look at other companies, Jeff Bezos is worth $30 billion. And the point about that is he can't spend all that money. He's, among other things, invested it in Uber. Well, Uber's now created 20,000 different jobs for drivers in the U.S., soon to be around the world. And so the idea is when we let the rich hold on to their wealth, it immediately is redistributed to those not rich through investment in new companies that employ people.
Uber is one of the most fascinating economic stories out there right now, and it's also, again, intersecting with popular culture because so many folks are using it. John Tamny, thanks so much for joining us. The book is called Popular Economics, and you can also catch his work on Forbes.com. John, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. Coming up, we're going to take a look at Christians around the world uniting in orange, which some are now calling the color of martyrdom. Of course, it's coming after those Coptic Christians executed over the weekend by ISIS. Much more to come here on Newsmax Now. John Bachman and Miranda Kahn will be back with you right after this short commercial break.